then, a golden age refers to what? Everything turns to gold?
No.
Yes.
Prosperity and peace.
Prosperity and peace, and a long rule by a peaceful emperor. In this case, it was Augustus. It enters this era of decline. So you have a series of weak emperors. Literally, you have 40 some in a 20-year span. They are constantly. It's really it's really generals who are actually marching on Rome, taking the capital, and imposing themselves as emperors. And when that happens, when you have this military dictatorships, you guys know what happens. It's happening in Syria, right? You have military dictatorships. Is it peaceful and prosperous for the people? No. Especially if they don't like groups. They had a large trade imbalance. They bought a lot more than they sold. Sometimes we have a trade imbalance. We start to worry about it. We're like, oh no, we're importing too much from China. And then these are purely review from my last fall of the Roman Empire. But as they grew more in debt, their military becomes weak. And here's the big deal. They start using foreign mercenaries. And those people are known as the Germanic tribes, right? The Visigoths, the Vandals, the Ostrogoths. They actually invited the enemy into their army, told them all their secrets, and then were surprised when they were taken over. Division of the Roman Empire. Diocletian tries to save us. You need to remember his name because he is the one who divides us into west and east and says, here, we're going to have two empires instead of one single empire. His home, look at where his home is. It's right next to Byzantium. So it was to his advantage to divide the empire because he wanted the eastern wealth. So the Western Empire still grows. Constantine moves the capital. Diocletian divides it. Constantine moves the capital. So Rome is not the capital anymore. 476, the barbarians conquered the Western Roman Empire. So essentially in 476, we don't consider that Rome is a going concern anymore. They're still there. There's still people there. There's still Romans. They're still there today. But we like to say, fall of the Roman Empire, 476.
Miss Winget, okay, is Constantine part of the Roman Empire or the Byzantine Empire?
He is a Roman emperor who moves the capital to Constantinople, and he becomes Byzantine as a result. He's still trying to rule it all, but it doesn't happen. It's more something.
So it is moving the capital, forces it into the Byzantine.
Yeah.
But Byzantine people are really Romans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to mention this over and over and over today. We're going to talk about the Byzantine Empire. They considered themselves Romans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of compare contrast. What was it like? What they build in Rome, what they build in Constantinople. I said what? What do you want to know?
I didn't know it was 476.
476. That is a Jeopardy question for you people. I have seen it more than one time on there. The Western Roman Empire fell into the Middle Ages. Some people call these the Dark Ages because a Greek historian, a Roman historian, Tacitus, called it the Dark Ages because Rome had been in such a glorious state, they thought it seemed like darkness came upon them. But the darkness for Rome, 500 to 1300 AD, meanwhile, the Eastern Roman Empire, I'm going to call it the Eastern Roman because they think they're Romans, they're having an awesome time. So what happens to the Eastern Roman Empire? This is Constantinople. Isn't it gorgeous? I know it's not a real city, as in it's a drawing, but isn't it gorgeous? Look at how many buildings there are. Tell me from the video yesterday, Constantine arrives in the city. How does he mark the city? How does he decide? Here's how big Constantinople is going to be.
He walks around with the spheres.
Yeah, he drags these little spear in the ground, and he's like, this big. You guys recognize this structure? That is a hippodrome. What do you do in a hippodrome?
Chariot
You have chariot
races.
races. Do you guys know why? Because in Latin, hippos, H-I-P-P-O, you know them as those little fat water beings, stands for horse. Because they thought when the first people that saw hippos, they thought they were water horses.
They thought they were what?
Water horses.
They kind of look like they're little chubby though.
All right, reminder. Citizens in the Byzantine Empire thought of themselves as Romans. They share many similarities with the Roman Empire. The big one, education. I'll talk a little bit about their education. And then the second big area was religion. Remember by 476 that Rome has started to practice Christianity. It is much bigger in the east because of the proximity to Judea, to Jerusalem. They keep alive, the Byzantine Empire keeps alive Greco-Roman culture, such as philosophy, medicine, the languages of Greek and Latin, geometry. You can keep them in your mind when you have to do the Pythagorean here. Constantinople became the sole capital of the empire. After the fall of Rome in 476, it becomes the sole capital of the empire, and it remains the sole capital until the 8th century, and then it gets revived again. So here's what their education system was like. They had a state-organized school system. We have a state-organized school system. They had schools that trained government bureaucrats, which you're going to notice is very much like the Han dynasty had schools who trained your government bureaucrats. Bureaucrat is just another name for a government what? Worker, employee, very good. We like to say we get involved in red tape and bureaucracy. It just means the hoops you have to jump through. There were private education for aristocratic or wealthy families. But because of their state-organized system, there was basic literacy, reading and writing and addition and subtraction for even people among the lower classes. Now, thinking, because we're talking the early centuries, Common Era, is this going to be widespread for girls and boys? No, it pertains more to boys, but I will say it's weirdly progressive in the East. Women have a lot more property rights than they did in the West, and it's unusual, I think, because I like to think of the East as, not as progressive, but it's not true. So in their schools, they emphasize humanities, which is what, since you're in that class? No. Essay question number 1.
Yeah.
What the heck is humanities?
Oh, art history.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
It is art and
History.
Like the study of human.
well, it is intelligence. It's philosophy and it's literature and it's religion and it's architecture and it's science and it's medicine.
I didn't know what you were trying to say, like, I didn't know if you were saying that it was long lasting, like up till now.
Okay. The classics, arts and architecture that were important for the state and the church. So basically what the Greeks and the Romans emphasized as well. And then of course Christianity was the other legacy, the religion. I'm going to give you Theodosius the First, the Great, in a super quick nutshell, because I forgot to totally talk about him at all, and I was just about to print my PowerPoint, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even put Theodosius in here. So, no pictures even. I didn't even have time to find his obelisk or his walls, but you know from the video yesterday, he is the one who started the walls. All right, 379 he comes, 376, 379, excuse me, to 395, he becomes the ruler, and he rules in the East. He is the one who briefly, after the fall, or after the separation, he briefly reunites and becomes the last and the only single ruler of both empires. After they were split, there was always 2 rulers until the fall. He rules for a very brief time as being a single ruler for that entire empire before the fall. And while he does that, that's in 394, the next thing he does in 395 is he makes Christianity the official religion of Rome. And Rome includes all of the Roman Empire, not just the city of Rome at this time period. And then in that very same year that he makes Christianity the official religion, he dies. But it remains the official religion. The pagan religions do not come back into practice. It still remains the official religion. Okay, so that's him in a tiny little nutshell, because I want I totally forgot to talk about it.
Is he the one that they, and they discussed that he was a kid, and then they said his architect and his military should go to his mentor or whatever, I can't remember the word that they used for it.
You're talking about the video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was him, the kid.
Yes.